The beginning of the multiverse. In the very beginning, reality exists as a chaotic sea of monsters. Beings such as Orgorg, Kolkantepe, and the Lich reside in this writhing mass. By incomprehensible chance, the monsters eventually come to a common agreement on the state of reality, and this consensus becomes the multiverse. According to an ancient tome called the Enchiridion, the multiverse is therefore not actually material. The multiverse is an emergent product of consciousness rather than consciousness being an emergent product of the multiverse. Every sentient being that lives in the multiverse paradoxically maintains its existence by experiencing it. And this also means that every sentient being has an existence beyond the material, known as their soul. Other than this, the origins of the multiverse are largely unknown. Nobody knows where the monsters came from or what the true nature of reality is. Everything we know about the world before existence comes from that single glimpse granted by the Lich. The structure of existence. The multiverse imagined by the primordial monsters is composed of a large number of dimensions. One of these dimensions contains the planet Earth, sometimes referred to as Third Orb, as well as all the other planets, stars, and galaxies in our own universe. The multiverse grows over time as new alternate timelines are created by divergent events. It's not clear if every dimension is an alternate timeline of one original universe, or if realms like the Nidosphere and Lumpy Space were completely separate from the beginning. Amidst this complex system of dimensions is the Time Room. The time waves that emanate from the Time Room are produced in the Time Core, which contains two unnamed deities striking each other over and over for all eternity. The physics behind the concept of the multiverse is somewhat explained in Chapter 4 of the Wizard's Enchiridion, albeit in a very hand-wavy, pseudo-scientific way. To prevent all the dimensions from catastrophically colliding with one another, all particles in a specific dimension have their own unique frequency. Particles with different frequencies reside in different dimensions. Adjusting this frequency allows for interdimensional travel. Another property of each dimension is its elasticity, which determines how easy it is to change the frequency of particles within that dimension. As stated above by Buko, dimensions can be interlinked if the frequencies of the particles in the local region of both dimensions can be somehow synchronized, hence forming a kind of gateway called a portal. The more elastic a dimension is, the easier it is to open a portal. The very rudimentary form of a temporal synchronization is demonstrated by Finn the human when he interacts with the little people, who reside in a different dimensional plane, according to Jake the dog. Finn shakes the little people, which synchronizes their frequencies enough to allow for brief interdimensional communication. The elasticity of a dimension has other effects besides ease of interdimensional travel. For example, highly elastic dimensions are more easily influenced by magic, more on that in a couple of sections, and are more likely to allow for interspecies hybrids to be born. The most extreme known example of hybrids are Jake's descendants, who contain genes from at least 4 species: bears, rainicorns, dogs, and shapeshifters. The elasticity of a dimension can vary over time, causing there to be periods during which magic is stronger or weaker than usual. One final principle of the multiverse is the concept of amok time, which states that causality can sometimes be reversed. This allows for accurate predictions of the future and the occasional bit of time travel. The cosmic entities. Prismo, who was briefly mentioned earlier, is one of the many godlike cosmic entities who make up the pantheon of the multiverse. Most of them have a specific purpose within the elaborate clockwork of existence. Prismo is a wishmaster and the keeper of the Time Room and the Time Core, capable of granting one wish to anyone who succeeds in visiting him. He takes the form of a friendly, pink, 2-dimensional projection of a human figure. He is kept alive by the dreams of an old man who sleeps in the floating ruins beyond the Time Room. When a visitor makes a wish, the wish can sometimes spawn a wish-altered reality, which becomes a new dimension of the multiverse, while the visitor's original dimension is left untouched. Excuse me, thought I heard something. This is one way in which This is one way in which divergent events can create new branches of the multiverse. Prismo is responsible for maintaining order across these dimensions by preventing harmful crossovers. Prismo is subject to a regular audit from a being named Scarab to make sure he is not endangering the structure of reality by abusing his wish-granting powers. Scarab covets Prismo's job. Scarab's supervisor is another cosmic entity named Orbo. All of them are on the payroll of their mysterious boss. The Cosmic Owl is in charge of monitoring the dreams of every being in the multiverse and chooses which one will come true. Dreams containing the Cosmic Owl are therefore invariably prophetic, although these dreams are often metaphorical rather than literal. Dreams containing the Cosmic Owl in which the dreamer sees their own death are known as croak dreams, and will accurately predict the death of the dreamer. The Cosmic Owl lives in a motel made of stars, and often visits the time room for game nights with Prismo. The fact that Prismo is the manifestation of a dream possibly hints at a deeper connection between Prismo and the Cosmic Owl. Life and death are the two cosmic entities in charge of determining what happens to the souls of those who have passed away. They are in a romantic relationship. The Catalyst Comet is a cosmic entity that operates in a millennium-long cycle. Every comet strike brings great change to Earth by delivering a being known as an Agent of Change, or Comet Avatar. Sometimes, the Agent of Change will succeed in turning the world into a better place, but sometimes, the comet delivers great evil into the world, and an era of destruction and death ensues. The Agents of Change are reincarnated after death so that they can continue their mission over the course of more than one lifetime. The comet takes on a different color every time it strikes. 4 have been depicted: green, yellow, blue, and purple. The agents that they spawn will go on to become some of the most influential beings in history: Evergreen, Orglorg, and the Comet. Golb is the cosmic entity embodying chaos and discord, taking the form of an immense red infantile creature with a pyramid-topped head. When he consumes people, they are reset to their primal state and eventually removed from existence in such a way that not even the most powerful magic can bring them back. Many of the other monsters from before time likely exist as cosmic entities, including Orglorg. In one ancient book, another monstrous deity named Malice is seen alongside Golb. Some other characters are depicted as godlike, but appear to live in singular dimensions alongside mortal peers. Examples of such beings include Abraham Lincoln, Party God, and Grob Gob Glob Grod. The concept of death. All the mortal beings in the universe will eventually die. However, death is not necessarily the end. After the mortal body has perished, the soul can continue without it. When a being dies, they are first transported to the land of the dead, which is like a gateway and a hub leading to all the other dead worlds, of which there are 50 in total. In the afterlife, souls can take the form of any other past forms, including any of their previous incarnations at any age. Newcomers are assigned to a dead world based on the way they lived their lives, with higher dead worlds generally being more desirable than lower ones. There is much variety among the 50 dead worlds. The first dead world is a miserable place, where souls are left to dissolve away until they become little more than part of the... The first dead world is a miserable place, where souls are left to dissolve away until they become little more than a part of the landscape. At the other end of the spectrum, the 50th dead world is a realm whose inhabitants have achieved escape from all desire, and exist for all eternity in total contentedness. Notably, both fates have the same outcome in the end, which is the loss of individuality. Unlike in many other depictions of the afterlife, a soul's judgment is not final, and souls can move between dead worlds if they change. The land of the dead and all the dead worlds are governed by Death himself, who lives in a castle of light and administrates with the help of his undertakers, souls who have chosen to assist Death and been turned into angels. The position of Death is not permanently fixed to one person, since Death can be killed, but to kill Death is to become Death, shackled to all the associated responsibilities of the position. Deceased souls can also be granted another option of their continued existence: reincarnation. In charge of reincarnation is the snake-headed deity named Life. When a soul makes its way to her realm, When a soul makes its way to her realm, she shapes them a new body on her pottery wheel and sends them back to be reborn anew. Reincarnated souls generally do not retain their memories, but they can maintain a tenuous cosmic connection with their past selves. Souls will normally become living biological beings when they reincarnate, but this is not always the case. According to Mr. Fox, there might be a limit on how many times a single soul can reincarnate, since there are only so many lives to share out between all of the souls. Dead souls can manifest in the living world as ghosts whenever required. Souls will often visit the mortal plane if they still have unfinished business to attend to, since they will only be able to ascend to a higher dead world once their business is complete. Sometimes a soul will forget the details of their mortal life, and in order to ascend, they must haunt the mortal plane as a ghost to find key information about themselves, such as their cause of death. Conversely, there are ways for living beings to temporarily achieve some of the effects of being dead. For example, it is possible to temporarily become a ghost by stopping and then restarting one's heart. It is also possible to visit the land of the dead via a ritual that involves crossing one's eyes and walking through the It is also possible to visit the land of the dead via a ritual that involves crossing one's eyes and walking through the corner of two walls. But getting to any of the 50 dead worlds is much more difficult to achieve without actually dying. Deceased souls can actually die a second time if they are killed within one of the dead worlds, or while visiting the realm of the living as a ghost. The fate of these souls is not known. The concept of magic. According to the Enchiridion, since the multiverse is maintained by the perceptions of the sentient beings within it, the imagination can actually be used to change the very structure of existence. This practice is most commonly known as magic and used almost exclusively by witches and wizards, although others can also learn to manipulate the material world using their mind. Magic most commonly manifests itself in the form of spellcasting, in which magic users recite incantations and channel their imagination through magically charged items in order to produce various effects. They usually have to practice one trick over and over until they are able to consistently perform it, which is why most magic users have a unique but limited arsenal of spells. There are other methods of performing magic as well. For example, Finn the Human has performed magic via meditation and song, and Son of Rat Bear can produce explosions by rapping. According to Betty Groff's MMS theory, all magic users have varying levels of magic, madness, and sadness. These three properties are required in order to reliably perform magic. Therefore, individuals with tragic pasts are more likely to be drawn into the world of wizardry, and other individuals may be driven to madness and sadness if they attempt to pursue magic. The three traits enforce and balance each other. There are two perspectives on the concept of magic. Scientists, like Princess Bubblegum, believe that it exists due to observational quantum effects and is grounded in scientific principles. This does not mean that scientists do not believe in magic. To not believe in magic in a world where it is so obviously abundant would be foolish. Rather, they simply agree with the idea of calling it magic, since this makes it sound like it is independent from science. This is somewhat justified, since the mystification of magic can often lead to confusion between real magic and exploitative nonsense, especially in gullible people. On the other end of the spectrum, most magicians choose to accept the hand-wavy imagination theory given in books like the Enchiridion, and question it no further than that. Thanks to this blind belief, they are generally far more proficient at performing magic. Neither view is incorrect. Life on Earth. The planets Earth and Mars swim around a sentient star called the Sun. The planets Earth and Mars form around a sentient star called the Sun. Around 1 billion years later, life begins to emerge on Earth. A demon named Hunson Abadir comes into being around this time and becomes a ruler of the Nightosphere, a fiery and hellish dimension. He constructs or obtains the Abadir Axe. On planet Earth exists the concept of 5 fundamental elements: fire, ice, candy, slime, and lumps, parodying the real-life classical elements of fire, water, earth, air, and aether. Despite the existence of 5 elements, lumps is less well known, and as a result, many accounts describe only the first 4. The elements are powerful wizards who live on Earth and each represent one of the aforementioned elements. They possess the power to generate and shape their own element in a variety of ways. Whenever an elemental dies, their soul is reincarnated into a new body, meaning that there is almost always a living representative for each element at any one time. Like other beings who reincarnate, the elementals can occasionally make contact with their past lives. The 5th element, lumps, behaves as an anti-element, and also has an associated element to go with it. The lumps elemental is capable of undoing the magic of the other 4, and can also undo some other types of transfiguration magic. The element is associated with a dimension called lumpy space. People from lumpy space have been seen far from planet Earth, suggesting that lumpy space is accessible from anywhere in the universe, and perhaps from anywhere in the multiverse. Furthermore, lumps apparently permeates throughout the universe. Lumps apparently permeates through the universe, similar to ether, its classical counterpart. Like all magic users, the power of the elementals is entirely dependent on the elasticity of Earth's dimension. For example, Evergreen, who lived millions of years in the past, is capable of constructing an entire castle from ice, whereas the fire elemental of the pre-war era struggles to heat a single cup of coffee. The symbol used to represent the main 4 elements is a circle divided into quarters. Jelly beans have power. Evergreen's crown. During the time of the dinosaurs, the 4 elementals are Urgence Evergreen, Balthus, Chatsberry, and Slimy D. They each rule their respective elemental realm. The lumps elemental of this time is never mentioned. Urgence Evergreen, the ice elemental, has a mutated dinosaur servant named Gunther, who vainly hopes to eventually become his master's magical apprentice. Evergreen spots the impending green catalyst comet and notices that it is far more powerful than those that have come before it. It carries so much power that it could wipe out most of the life on the planet, so Evergreen seeks a way to stop it. He uses his knowledge of technology and magic to construct a golden crown capable of granting its wearer their greatest wish. But it needs a power source: the ruby eyes of the lava dog Magwood. To help battle Magwood and retrieve the eyes, Evergreen summons the other 3 elementals to his castle from their realms. They reject his plan, stating that wish magic is too dangerous and reminding him that even if they die, they will be reincarnated. Ignoring their advice, Evergreen has them frozen and sets off to take on Magwood alone. His mission is successful, and he retrieves the eyes before rushing them back to his castle and completing the crown. However, he is tracked by the blind and enraged Magwood, and just as Evergreen is about to use the completed crown to vanquish the comet, the lava dog attacks his castle. Evergreen becomes trapped under debris during the following battle, and is unable to put on the crown and wish for the comet's destruction. So instead, he orders his dinosaur servant Gunther to do it, but Gunther's greatest desire is not to destroy the comet. Gunther's wish becomes permanently associated with the crown, and its wish-granting abilities are disabled. In the future, any individual who wears the crown will become its host and turn into Gunther's image of Evergreen, a cruel, mad, and powerful ice elemental. The green catalyst comet kills the 4 elementals, and is likely to be the event which causes the extinction of the dinosaurs. Gunther is saved by the crown. A copy of his original consciousness is held within its complex circuitry. Any future hosts of the crown will be similarly saved. It is likely that the green comet's agent of change is the Witch, an embodiment of evil whose only desire is to extinguish all life. He claims to be the last scholar of Golb, although the exact meaning of this is unknown. Since the multiverse is maintained by the conscious beings within it, the end of life would mean the end of the multiverse, and reality would return to its initial state of chaos and monsters. This is probably the Witch's ultimate goal. The Witch lies dormant for millennia, awaiting the right opportunity to rise to power. Wizards of Prehistory. The magic users of the prehistoric world established a secretive settlement named Wizard City. Its rulers are a cult of dark magicians who worship and draw their power for the primordial monster known as Kokantepi, a being who has existed since before time itself. But upon Kokantepi's death, the dark magicians are usurped by the new regime who oppose dark magic. Knowing that death may not be able to contain Kokantepi for good, the new rulers seal away his body in a giant tomb and bury it in a secret location deep beneath the city. Bury it in a secret... God damn it. You know what I meant to say. I meant to say city. Fuck. This age of wizardry likely saw the creation of the Enchiridion. This ancient tome, which has already been mentioned a few times, is one of the most powerful magical artifacts in the multiverse. Its exact origin is unknown. Due to its contradictory nature, it may not even have a true origin. Over the course of all history, it is written and enchanted by thousands of wizards. These spells cause it to gain sentience, change with every reading, automatically translate into the reader's native language, and contain prophetic knowledge from the future. The original tome is over 8 million pages long. Various abridged copies are eventually produced, all of which retain its magical properties. The tome is split into 2 books, one for heroes and one for wizards. It teaches heroes how to conduct themselves and best serve their wizard masters, and it teaches wizards how to perform many ancient and secret forms of magic. According to one iteration of one copy of the Enchiridion, every 10,000 years it transports its original author to the Time Room, where they must make a choice. They can either force the multiverse to reset to how it was 10,000 years ago, or they can allow it to continue into the unknown. The author almost always chooses to have it reset. It is somewhat unclear how this cycle fits into the rest of the history of the multiverse. Placing gems of power into various slots in the Enchiridion can produce powerful magical spells. Most notably, filling the gem slots in the front cover enables the user to open a portal to any dimension in the multiverse, and might even allow for time travel. Eventually, the Earth's elasticity and magical potency begins to subside, giving way to a less magically active world. It's possible that Kokantepi's death contributed to this decline, since the dark magicians were using him as a source of power, but this is only speculation. And that's all for now.